Singapore has a population of 5.5 million inhabitants. Out of this, 237,000 are foreign domestic workers. And this is set to grow from the current 237,000 to 300,000 by 2030. Putting things into perspective, this means that 1 in 5 Singaporean households employ a foreign domestic worker. In 2017, the Indonesian government intends to stop issuing new permits for the citizens to work overseas as live-in foreign domestic workers. This is a bold attempt at improving the human rights conditions of the citizens who work overseas in countries ranging from Dubai to Singapore. As one of the reasons behind the initiative, mistreatment of foreign domestic workers was cited by the Indonesian government. Examples of mistreatment include a lack of rest days, restrictions on communication, and a lack of privacy. Since half of our supply of foreign domestic workers are Indonesians, this could possibly lead to a shortage of live-in foreign domestic workers in the near future. Well, if we would like to continue our dependence on migrant labour, then we might need to start looking for alternative sources. Over the years, many non-profit organisations, such as HOME and TWC2, have tried to increase human rights of foreign domestic workers, but they have had trouble bringing about positive outcomes. The I Give a Day Off campaign aimed to improve human rights of foreign domestic workers in Singapore. The persuading factor was that giving foreign domestic workers a weekly day off could prove beneficial to a mother's bond with their child. The campaign was driven by the fact that, despite a recent law mandating weekly day offs, 40% of foreign domestic workers are denied of this. Although it went viral and generated much discourse on the plight of foreign domestic workers in Singapore, the provocative take on this issue was met with criticism and backlash for shaming mothers for neglecting their child. Women's rights group Aware stated that it's a pity that this video shames mothers, seeming to hold them solely responsible for childcare. Where are the fathers? How did they score? And why does that not seem to matter? This has shown how treading issues of such sensitive nature requires a messaging strategy that strikes a balance between being provocative and acceptable. The ideal outcome of such a balance would not only generate greater awareness of the issue at hand, but could also provoke enough thought to generate positive attitude and behavior changes. In 1996, Myers-Lewy and Paracchio came up with the hypothesis that advertisements can be more persuasive if presented from an active participant audience perspective. In other words, the viewer's point of view, or POV. This is as compared to conventional ads that uses a detached observant perspective, also known as third-person perspective. To find out if this was true, 2 print advertisements promoting an insurance company were created, one from the POV perspective and the other from a third-person perspective. After extensive testing, the experiment proved to support their hypothesis. Given the numerous amounts of advertisements in our everyday life, advertisers are on a constant search for new creative ways to reach their audiences. As such, we set out to test if this unconventional method could work in the video medium. We tested a POV perspective against the third person's perspective to verify which route would create greater attitude and behavior changes. In the experimental video, we took the viewer through the eyes of a young Singaporean living with a foreign domestic worker. Interactions portrayed seek to show how viewers perceived barriers to open communication with their foreign domestic workers were actually less intimidating than imagined. While in the control video, scenes were curated from a local production, Ilo Ilo, which portrayed interactions with the protagonist's foreign domestic worker via a third-person perspective. Viewers of both video perspectives exhibited no change in reducing their perceived barriers to open communication. However, viewers from both perspectives showed an average increase of 8% in their intentions to strike a meaningful conversation with their foreign domestic workers. It is also worth noting that viewers of the third person perspective video had a slightly higher increase in intentions by 0.5%. A POV perspective was not only able to generate interest, but more importantly, provoked self-reflection, which produced an increase in their intentions to engage in meaningful conversations with their foreign domestic workers. Positive self-reflection was a sentiment shared across viewers of the POV video. It seems that this perspective is effective in immersing viewers with the persona of the protagonist. This induces further self-reflection as compared to viewing the protagonist with a third-person perspective. This aspect of positive self-reflection by POV videos can be especially useful in campaigning social issues, since these tend to be issues that require oneself to ponder intrinsically. So whether it was from a POV or a third-person perspective, videos were well received by all viewers. POV videos seem to generate persuasive effects similar to conventional third-person perspective videos. The unconventional method definitely shows much potential in helping us to take a step closer to our goal of a provocative but receptive message. With more research, advertisers could consider utilizing POV videos in their marketing strategy as a way to distinguish themselves from competitors. Now, it's your turn to give the POV perspective a shot.
Hey!
Mentos, the fresh maker.